Hey guys, what's up? It's Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and today I want to talk to you about difficulty, or more specifically, games that just can't wait to kill their players. Now, most games will start off with a nice little friendly tutorial helping you through the basics and getting you accustomed to the game world, but not these games. Instead of a hand-holding experience, this is more taking your hand, dipping it in acid, cutting it off at the stump, and slapping you in the face with it. So let's have some fun, shall we? Yes, that's right, these games are pretty much the equivalent of one of your mothers because they cannot wait to see the end of me. There's my one per list, and with no further ado, I'm Jules from WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video games that kill you within the first 10 seconds.
But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, dong.
Number 10, Karateka. So I don't know about the rest of you, but when I start a new platforming game or action game, I always rotate the camera around to see what's behind me because the developers sometimes hide tasty little nuggets for me to find. I mean, it's just become part and parcel of my gaming experience now. But if you try to apply that philosophy to Karateka or Karateka, depending on how you want to say it will not end well, mainly because you can't rotate the camera around, and what I mean is that you're actually going left instead of right. If you were a new player trying to figure out the controls, then you would probably just tap left and right just to get a bearing on what was going on, and that would be the end of you. Straight away, you just fall off a cliff. And the worst thing is if you enter the fighting stance and then get back out of it without moving, you'll fall off the cliff again. Brilliant. Number 9, Prince of Persia 2. Now, the classic Prince of Persia games are notoriously hard, and I mean, we'll end up seeing you bite more big ones than Josh Brown on the weekend. The original game was even content to start you off falling mid-air. That meant that you had to have perfect lightning-fast reflexes in order to survive the opening seconds. But that's not what we're going to talk about, but we're going to talk instead about the sequel. Prince of Persia 2, The Flame and the Shadow starts you off with having to fight against two big, rather burly, rather aggy guards that are trying to kill you, and if you don't pick up your sword quick enough, you're gonna die. But if you think to yourself, right, I'm just gonna back off for a bit, get some space, like line up my trajectories, maybe throw my sword and bounce it off like a captain, it's not gonna happen. Because if you go the wrong way, you get murdered off screen. That'll teach you for taking your time, I guess. Adapt or die, my brothers and or sisters. Number 8, Space Quest 2. So, the Space Quest franchise is filled with pretty hilarious and silly ways to kill yourself. In the first game, you could actually blow yourself up in the opening moments without trying too hard, and in the third game, you could nick yourself on a bit of metal and bleed to death. But the fourth game is the one that we're talking about because it contained a silly and quite embarrassing death. So the game begins with you standing in a spacesuit on the edge of your spaceship. Now, it's not entirely clear which way you're meant to go to begin with, but if you accidentally tap right, you'll just float off into space and die. And in typical Space Quest fashion, when you die, it gives you a humorous little bit of text telling you that you have no common sense before kicking you back to the starting screen with a 0-point score. Delicious. Number 7, Takeshi's Challenge. Now, Takeshi's Challenge is one of the most famous old games on the planet, and it isn't famous for being a good game, let me just tell you that. What it's really known for is being absolutely batshit insane in what it asks you to do, and being infuriatingly difficult. It's actually so bad that even if you beat the game, the creator himself comes out and calls you a loser for beating it. So knew my feelings. So therefore, it's not actually that surprising to learn that Takeshi's Castle can kill you before you even start the game. That's right, if you go to the password screen and either enter the password wrong or punch the little man that's there, you'll get an instant game over. I guess, in the grand scheme of things, it's teaching you to abstain from violence and be accurate with your inputs. But then again, this is a game that lets you beat up your wife and intentionally bankrupt yourself. Who knows what's going on here? Number 6, Bastian. I absolutely adore Bastian. From its beautiful art style and engaging combat system, there was so much that was oozing with charm that I often felt that I would call a doctor for it to get it checked out. And one of the many, many golden nuggets in this mine of golden nuggets was the narrator who narrates things. God, this is a great sentence. Basically, he details everything the player does, including narrating your deaths, which can come in many, many forms. The first of which that we'll probably experience is falling to your death. Now, in platforming games like this, falling to your death through pits isn't really going to be that uncommon, but what he says, though, is quite hilarious, because he says as you fall, and then the kid fell to his death. before watching yourself respawn saying, "Only fooling." Oh, you cheeky little whippet. Who said that death had to be a terrifying and morbid prospect, eh? Only real life. Number 5, Dragon's Lair. Dragon's Lair is one of the most fantastically beautiful games of all time, but was an absolute thief to the wallets of many who tried to play it back in its arcade heyday. Much like my porn searches, every single screen you encountered contained a life-threatening situation, and only those with the fastest of reflexes and a hell of a lot of luck would ever actually see the end screen. And in the very first scene, we get to see how maddeningly infuriating this game can be, because we see our hero Dirk trying to cross a drawbridge before falling down and nearly getting pulled under by a tentacled monster. If you didn't act fast enough, then whoops, sorry, you're dead. And even if you did, within the first minute of the game, there's about 4 or 5 other ones that can take your life. So this entry is really just a case of take your pick. You're welcome. Number 4, Another World. Like Dragon's Lair, Another World is full of trial and error sequences, and also, like Dragon's Lair, there's a hentai beast that's waiting to pull you off screen in the opening seconds. Hello, Vicar. And in a nasty but quite clever trick, the game switches from an opening cinematic to gameplay in such a fashion that you wouldn't actually know that you could start playing straight away. And if you stand still for a few seconds, then whoops, looks like 4chan's gonna come pull you under. Number 3, The Matrix, Path of Neo. Now, this one doesn't really involve a death of a hero, but it's more the case of a game over screen that can come incredibly early. Now, we all know the famous scene in the film where Morpheus offers Neo the red pill or the blue pill, the red pill allowing him to go down the rabbit hole and blah blah blah, and the blue pill allowing him to wake up and continue on his life and blah blah blah, with a few side effects, probably like boldness and erectile dysfunction. I'm just picking 2 random symptoms out of the air there. And he chooses the red pill. Well, in the game, you can choose to take the blue pill if you want, and you get this little scene here where Morpheus just goes, "Right, fair enough. See you later then, mate." It's not technically a death, like I said, but saves you a bit of time. Number 2, Super Pitfall. Now, this was an absolute dick move, but one that did actually teach the players not to trust Super Pitfall. After moving right for a few paces, you'll come across this ladder, and if you decide, like a daring adventurer, to go down there and see what's below, then mistake, boom, spiky death pit. How do you like them pineapples on your pizza? Etc. For many, this would be such a shock in the opening section of the game that they'd actually go back and try it again, insisting that they did something wrong. Well, the thing is, they did do something wrong. They trusted that Super Pitfall wouldn't be a dick. Although, to be fair, the clue is kind of in the name. I mean, it is a pit. You did fall down it. Number 1, Minecraft. Minecraft is one of the most popular games of all times. It is literally everywhere. A game that allows you to wave your creative brush over a blank canvas and just explore and be happy and all that crap. But it's also an absolute bastard sometimes. Because each world is randomly generated, players have reported being spawned over pits, falling into the void, or even worse, just underwater, and for a few fleeting moments, get to suffocate. Brill. So, while Minecraft might appear to be all fun, family-friendly fun, it's actually a death factory. And there we go, those are 10 games that will kill you in the opening 10 seconds. I hope you enjoyed that, and if you think you can last 10 seconds, hello Vicar, then let me know down in the comment section below which other games you would put on this list. As always, I've been Jules, you have been awesome. Go back to whatculture.com to check out more news and articles like this every goddamn day, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye. Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Aren't you a star? Don't forget to subscribe below, and also the people who made this video, they're right here, so go and follow them and give them some love. If you want to see more content, there's probably some stuff flowing up above my head. Why not check it out? It could be fun. I'm not your dad.